Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly. This is The Real Sports Talk. Thank you guys for tuning in. Some huge news out of the NFL today. I'm going to continue with my quarterback countdown a little later on tonight. But two big injuries in the NFL today. The first happened at Eagles training camp, day 2. Jeremy Maclin, wide receiver of the Philadelphia Eagles, who a lot of people around the NFL don't know this, but Jeremy Maclin, in my opinion and a lot of Eagles fans' opinions, has been the best wide receiver on this Philadelphia Eagles team for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Deshaun Jackson gets a lot of the hype, but Maclin led the team the last 2 seasons in receptions and touchdowns, and he's been a pretty solid player since being drafted 19th overall out of Missouri 3 or 4 years ago, 4 years ago now. So he's been a solid contributor, and he was starting off the line on a play, and his hip his leg just buckled. That's what Deshaun Jackson called it. He went down, was screaming in pain on the ground, had to be carted off, and it went back and forth for a little bit. But they were pretty sure that he tore his ACL and MCL in his right knee. And as the results came back, Adam Schefter, Fox Sports, pretty much every single media outlet reported that Jeremy Maclin had torn his ACL in a contract year and was out for the season. That is a huge loss for the Eagles. And to be honest with you, I think it's a lot bigger of a loss than Jeremy Maclin than Deshaun Jackson, because I think he has been the more focused, more consistent receiver over the past few years. Deshaun Jackson's been the guy that wants to be in the spotlight. He has a record label. He's always on Instagram and Twitter. Jeremy Maclin's been quiet. He's done his work, and he's been one of the few bright spots on this Eagles team. And the idea of him and Deshaun Jackson in the system of Chip Kelly seemed like a match made in heaven, and it may now be a match that for sure isn't going to happen this season and may never end up happening due to this injury that we saw happen today. The other big injury in the NFL today, and it came just a little bit after, was Ravens tight end Dennis Pitta, who was a breakout player last year, had a tremendous season for the Ravens. He's out for the season with a dislocated hip. That's according to Adam Schefter again, too. And earlier on, it sounded like he was he was out 6 weeks, would miss the first game or 2, and then he would be back. And for Joe Flacco, I still felt like that was a huge loss, because you're already talking about a receiving core that has lost Anquan Bolden this offseason, and that would have put a ridiculous amount of pressure on a guy like Torrey Smith, and it puts more pressure on Joe Flacco and Ray Rice now. And I think that now that he's out for the season, it is a huge loss for the Ravens. And to me, it only furthers the idea that the Bengals are going to win this division pretty easily. I don't think the Ravens are going to be an awful team. I think they're going to be around 500, give or take a game or 2. I don't think the Steelers are going to do much, and I think the Cleveland Browns actually have a legitimate shot to compete with the Ravens and the Steelers this year with the team they have. But not to get off track, I think looking at the Ravens, they still do have some weapons. I like Joe Flacco. I'm not in love with him the way a lot of people are, but I love his arm strength. And I don't think that this is going to completely deflate the Ravens' offense, but it certainly does not help when you already lost a guy like Anquan Bolden. You look defensively at all the losses that they had with Paul Kruger, with Ray Lewis retiring. Ed Reed goes to the Houston Texans. I mean, it was not a fun offseason if you're a Raiders fan. And I know that they brought in Elvis Dumervil. I know they brought in Chris Canty. They made a few moves. But it does not feel like this is a season coming off a Super Bowl year. And I think any NFL fan base would be willing to trade a Super Bowl and have a down year like the Ravens and a lot of people's mind are about to have. But it is not necessarily going to be the same type of fun. When you're in that fan base and you have to watch your team the year after making a run in the playoffs, will probably slip back to being a mediocre team. It's not going to be a fun season for the Ravens. And it was not a fun day 2 around NFL training camps, as both Jeremy Maclin and Dennis Pitta were lost for the season. We had a Browns player, an offensive lineman, had to be rushed to the hospital after collapsing. Man, you guys got to drink. You know that from any age level in sports, you gotta stay hydrated, drink water, drink Gatorade, Powerade, whatever the case is, and make sure that you are hydrated on these hot summer days. But 2 big losses in the NFL today, and hopefully that Browns player is okay. For now, I'm Tim Kelly. This is The Real Sports Talk. I'll catch you guys next time.